In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how we use paid traffic to create predictable revenue inside our fitness business and how you can too in 2024 going into 2025. Whether you're a brick and mortar fitness business, somebody who wants to go online, or you're already online, but you just haven't been able to crack the code with paid traffic, then tune in, because over the past 3 years, we have spent over $320K in ads and have averaged a 6.07 return on ad spend. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do it right now. All right, got the old man glasses on. And as promised, in this video, I'm going to show you how to create predictable revenue for your fitness business in 2024 going into 2025 using a hybrid outbound and inbound revenue model that creates omnipresent noise for your ideal client. So I'll go over exactly what each of those terms mean in just a little bit. We'll begin first by outlining exactly what you need to have in place to make paid traffic work. That's first and foremost. So we don't waste ad dollars, have frustrations, and think that paid traffic doesn't work. Whether you're an advanced business owner or just starting out, I'll walk you through the entire hybrid, inbound, and outbound funnel step by step, covering what audiences to create and when, how to manage leads effectively, and show you our exact ad creative. So for advanced business owners, if you've run a lot of paid traffic, the video will include timestamps so you can skip ahead if you feel like the in-between stuff is not exactly what you need. It's proven if you pre-frame the time, energy, and money that you've spent into whatever knowledge you've gained and you put that in prior to giving the knowledge, people perceive it as more valuable. So I will do the whole how much we've spent, how much we made workaround, right? So total ad spend, 2021 to 2024, 341K, total business gross revenue, 2.209 million. This is updated before this screenshot. I'm filming this on December 12th. I took the screenshot here in our payment processor in November. Anyways, the total return on ad spend in those years, 6.08. That's been our average across 3 years, and it's only gotten better over time. So here's our payment processor waves from January 1st to November 2022. 2.072 gross cash inflow. You'll see gross cash outflow being close to the same. We use what is called a profit first model for managing our finances. It's just a book. It's really valuable. So for all fitness professionals out there, I used to be terrible at managing finances. I highly recommend that. It's a great resource. You essentially just have multiple bank accounts. You take a certain percentage from each pay period, and you put it in each bank account. So when tax season comes around and things like that, you're ready to rock. So that is why you don't see it all in the business account. So anyways, let's keep going. This was our main account. This is our main ad account that we use now. 316K spent from 22nd of October 2021, November 22nd, 2024. And then to match that last little bit of ad spend, you will see here that our first ad account that our ad agency, the first guy that we ever used because we were afraid to use paid traffic ourselves, it got shut down, and that was 24K spent there. So anyways, a little bit about me. You don't really care, but subconsciously you kind of do. I'll try to be quick. Used to be a former assistant D1 strength coach, but realized that I didn't make any money. Eventually opened a gym, sold that for a 2x multiplier of annual gym contracts, plus a full buyout of gym equipment. I also had royalties on the month-to-month general access. So those who had 24/7 access, I kept a certain percentage of that profit. So when me and my wife moved to Colorado, I still had some income coming in, which was great. And then prior to that, I had created some programs, 16-week low ticket programs for a company called WOD Prep. So I created their shoulder arm, happy hips, functional core. It's my good buddy's business. He was crushing it with WOD Prep. But it was a great way for me to learn the ropes of how to do this whole online thing, right? And then after we launched those a few times, our best one, we would always kind of do like a weekly launch. We would essentially do a bunch of like noise, pre-movie, here's all the previews. This week you can purchase. This was all done through email, and in 1 week at one time we did 55K, which was super sick. But I learned quickly that I'm terrible at selling via email for our own business. But anyways, that was also cool. I earned some royalties on that, and then eventually had a buyout from them about 2 years ago. But basically from like 2018 to 2022, I had some royalties going as we started up our online stuff. So eventually we launched All Terrain Human, launched in 2019 with my wife, you see here, who helped me film those programs. From 2019 to 2021, we did 400K in organic sales. And I quickly learned that I hate the organic content grind. It's just not my favorite thing. Every Monday sitting down, like, what am I going to write about today? Right. And I'm not saying organic. You should definitely 100% go into organic. Try to crush it. I know people who are doing 3 million a year primarily off of organic. Right. They have a lot of clout in a certain industry, like one guy, nutrition company, who trains a couple CrossFit athletes, like the big ones, big names. Right. So a lot of people know him. Right. But if you don't have that clout, right, paid traffic is the best thing for you to get the eyeballs that you need, right? So anyways, to get to the paid traffic point, which is what you want to hear about, our first lesson in paid traffic was that we had to find a niche. So basically, when we first started running paid traffic, we're trying to figure this whole thing out. We ran both me and my wife's image. Her image tested better. Lo and behold, Facebook said my wife is better looking than me. So tip to all you men out there, marry up. Definitely pays off. So we removed myself. I used to be the face. And then we made my wife the face. She was in there with me, but I was primarily, did most of it. We were already selling 75% women, so we went all in on women. So since then, you'll see here's my wife's Instagram account. Here's our Facebook group, right? Both 16 and 18K. Those are two different channels that we have driven a lot of paid dollars to and have made a great return on ad spend on both. And all that to say is paid traffic works on any platform. It just, the main thing that you have to think about is where are my ideal avatars' eyeballs? Where are they spending most of the time with their attention, right? And so we learned, going into 23 and 2024, we would poll our athletes every so often, basically once a year, what platform you're using the most. And everyone just started to switching to Instagram at the advent of Reels. So that's when we really pushed to IG, right? And so again, there's some of those stats again, but how does this apply to you, right? And this is the most important part. And it's going to sound so simple, it's going to sound stupid, but every fitness business, whether you're in person, brick and mortar, or you're online, want to go online, every high ticket fitness business has the same fundamentals. We all need awareness, leads, sales, and fulfillment. But in this video, right, if you're somebody who's like, okay, I've heard this before, right? Awesome. I'm going to talk about how does paid traffic fit in for each of those pillars. And so, again, we're going to get into the funnel in just a second, show you play by play or step by step. But basically, first and foremost, awareness, right? We have to just let people know that you are there. And then what is really great for paid traffic is I've heard a lot of fitness business people, personal trainers like, I've been creating content, but I'm not really it's not getting any traction. Well, the problem is that your algorithm goes to everyone on the platform across the world, right? Or at least, in the United States. So if you want people locally to see you, you have to use paid traffic. But second to that, right, awareness, right? We want to, above all else, with paid traffic, get to the place that people see your face, they instantly know your name, and they know your offer, right? I want, with paid traffic, for people to see my wife's face. Oh, that's Haley, right? She coaches women on how to, fall back in love with what their body can do, right? They know it's fitness, right? It's, an example that might be applicable to you would be somebody like Alex Hormozi, right? And, very big in the digital marketing atmosphere, or Russell Brunson, right? But you can even go further and say, if you don't know those two, right? Tom Brady or Michael Jordan, you look at them, you know their face, you know their name, you know what they do, right? And so that is really when we're looking at awareness above all else. That is what we want to create. That's how we ascend to this place online where people start to know us, trust us, like us, and potentially want to work with us, right? A good example is like, I could be the biggest fan of Peyton Manning. I might know all his stats, right? I feel like I know him, right? But if I saw him in person, right, he doesn't know me, right? And so that's kind of exactly what we want to create, is that these people are essentially like super fans, or at least they know everything about you. They know your name, face, they know exactly what you're doing, right? And that's exactly the purpose of paid traffic. It's not to just like one click, here's an ad, go to this page, buy, I make millions of dollars, right? It's a way to force the algorithm to get people to get to the place where they have that name, face, offer association. So this works nationwide or local, right? It's all the same thing. Build trust and authority before selling. Advanced tactic we'll talk about in later videos is, you start with an awareness campaign, or you add that in later on, not to start. That's going to get you very cheap clicks and views, and then you take the 95% viewers and then you retarget them, right? So you're getting people who are like, watching your stuff. You go from a short to a long one, and then you go down to, hey, check out, be a lead on my lead form, right? So again, you can see the circle. This is exactly where my gym used to be, right? So I'm just showing this is a 5 mile radius. it's shown that basically every gym, you have about a 5-mile radius of demographic, right? That means on max, they would drive about 10 minutes in rush hour. So it's about a 5-mile radius to account for that. And so hammer those people and create that same awareness. Oh, I know exactly where this place is. I know exactly who that is. I know exactly what they do. Man, look at all that stuff. I should really check out that gym. That looks exciting, right? So next, let's get into goal of ads for leads, right? Hormozi's definition is people who give you permission to contact them, right? And I want to take that a step further and have it be people who give you permission to contact them repeatedly across multiple mediums, feeds, stories, emails, text, DMs, etc. Right? We want to create this omnipresent noise, right? And so the reality is that we're just in a trust recession. And so the goal, right, is getting to this omnipresent noise and casting a very wide net for our ideal client, right? We want them to see, like, man, I go over here and I see their face, and I go over there and I see that face, right? There's this in Bruce Almighty, right? There's a part where I think he sees Morgan Freeman's face all over everything, right? Or is his face? I can't remember. Maybe we'll clip it in there. But right, that's exactly the noise that we want to be able to create with paid traffic. Like, man, they're in my texts, they're in my emails, they're in my DMs. I see them on their feed, right? When we sell people, we ask them, where did you see us? Were we very, present on your social media? They're like, as soon as I followed your page, I saw you everywhere, right? And that's the goal that we need to create, because it just now is starting. Google did a big study, and it's taking about 7 to 10 points of contact for people to decide that they actually potentially want to check out what you have and work with you, right? And so, first point of contact, oh man, that sounds interesting, but life happens. They forget you, right? I had this happen the other day. I opted in for one of Layla Hormozi's things. I know, I've seen her stuff. I don't know her, right? Here we go. Got myself. But the video on the next page was a little bit long. Turned it off. She emailed me the freebie thing, right? My kids started crying. I went upstairs. I haven't gone back and looked at that freebie, right? And I keep talking about how I haven't gone back and looked at the freebie to multiple people to get a point across. I still haven't looked, right? And so we just need to get more points of contact to break through the noise, and the noise is getting louder and louder and louder. And there's so many people you're competing against that we have to do a better and better job, and not just think that we can go, hey, you don't know me, check this out, first click, join my program right now, right? We don't want to get married on the first date. And so starting out, right? So again, getting to the foundation is we need to have a niche. We need to be creating omnipresent noise, and we need to get to that name, face, offer, association, right? That is what the foundation of what we want to create, the framework, the lens of how we're viewing paid traffic. So starting out, again, if you've run paid traffic, like what metrics you're looking for inside your ads manager. Awesome. You can fast forward to the funnel. But basically, so if you're just starting out, I need you to hammer this home, is that we're looking for low cost per impressions, right? So meaning, here's CPMs, right? This means, right, how much is it costing in front of 1,000 eyeballs, right? The lower that you can make this, and especially if you're a local gym, right, the lower you can make this, right, the more room for error. You're getting more views for a cheaper cost, right? That typically means if you're starting out, you're not great at making ads, ad creative, right? You at least have a little bit more room for error. Then we want to see high click-through rates. So do people click on the link and go to the thing that I'm sending them to, right? So a good, decent click-through rate is around 1%. So basically, of 1% of the views, or of the 1,000 views, right, 1% are clicking in, right? So that's one metric that we can continue to improve. Like, okay, well, if I create a new ad and it goes up to 2.3 point click-through rate, now I'm spending less per, or I'm spending the same amount on 1,000 impressions, 1,000 views, right? But out of those, now 3% are opting in, right? That's another way I can pull a lever, gain more leverage, and maximize my ad spend. And then future leverage, right? We want to use that list of engagers to build a lookalike audience. And we'll talk about this. So list of engagers, people who, followed your profile, clicked on an ad, clicked on a page, right? We want to get those engagers to start, let's say we start driving traffic, and I'll show you in the funnel, driving traffic of followers to our Instagram page, right? We call it exactly who we want, right? And maybe we don't have a lot of customers. We can first take that Instagram follower thing once we start to prove that it's profitable and create a lookalike off of our Instagram followers. And then we start to have 100, 200 clients, right, that we've acquired from paid traffic. Now we can put that back into them and create a little bit more hyper-targeted lookalike audience. And we'll get into that in later videos and later in this. And so the big caveat for all of this, though, is like, if you're somebody who's been running paid traffic, things aren't necessarily working as well for you. And the reason why I really like the funnel that I'm going to show you, is that we can essentially bypass the lack of tracking that Meta now has, right? So with web browser tracking, essentially 98% of people on Meta have opted out for that. So when you have a little pixel like I do, or there isn't on this Google page, right? Google doesn't have a pixel thing in here. I won't put it, but basically if you go on a page, this little thing will light up, tell you there's a pixel there, but 98% of them have opted out that's no longer applicable. So you need to have either a potential expensive API tracking software, right? If you do something like Hyros, you need typically some people need page web developers to put in the API. Some of it's a little easier for some, but either way, what I've noticed is that the API isn't always sending back events to the extent that you want. And so with this, I'm going to show you if we can keep most of our ad stuff on platform, on Meta, then we bypass all the lack of tracking capabilities, right? And so key caveat, getting into there, right? Know your niche, know the platform they use. Not every platform works for every avatar, but every platform works if you find the right fit in your niche, right? So every platform has the capacity to work, but it just depends. Is your avatar on there? And then getting into sales, right? Goal of ads for sales. Mark Cuban said, and AKA he's now the new Rachel Maddow, sales cures all. No company in history has succeeded without sales, right? And so the hard truth, your business needs to work around your ads, not the other way around. I'll say that again. Your business needs to work around your ads, not the other way around. CPMs are rising across all platforms as competition for attention increases, right? The numbers have to make sense for your business. Don't expect ads to solve every problem, right? If they work from the start, great. If not, adapt, refine your offer, your price points, your business model if you need to, right? You've done everything on the front. CPMs are great. Click-through rate is great, right? Conversion rate of those leads is great, right? But if it's still not having the profitability that you want, one easy way to make your return on ad spend increase, right, is increase your prices. One thing that we did is we looked, okay, we did this really big push in 2023 to extend the lifetime value of our customers, right? We went from like 30% of people re-signing on for 8 months up to around like 45%, like 45% in the first half of the year, 40% in the second half of the year. Always kind of dips in the holidays. But anyways, we saw that everyone on average, even with that, improving that, 6 months was the average lifespan and around $4,000 spent. So what did we do? We made our program, instead of 4 months, for 28, paid in full, 32. So for that, instead of our program being 2,800 for paid in full, 3,200 payment plan for 4 months, we just upped our program to 6 months for $4,200. So now people coming on the front end, we get exactly what our old LTV was, right? 4,200 for 6 months. And then anyone re-sign after that, right? It's just increasing that LTV even more, right? And so what did that do? It made our return on ad spend more profitable, right? So all that to say is you need to be flexible on both ends, right? We can do everything we possibly can on the ad side, the ads manager side, ads copy, trying to craft having the perfect offer, but we also need to be flexible in what we're doing on the back end with our price points, right? And our business model. And so again, for all of this, especially with more and more competition, right? The people who are going to survive with paid traffic are those who are most adaptable, right? It's not the strongest, not the smartest, but those who are most adaptable, who thrive in any scenario. So, right. But bottom line, for any of you out there with a fitness business in 2024 going to 2025, you need predictable revenue and a strong revenue model, right? So for advanced business owners, right, what I want to say, and this was a huge lesson for me, is that you need to own your own revenue model better than anyone else. Meaning you need to know what you're just looking at in your ads, the data, right? Not relying upon somebody else to come in and own and manage without you having an understanding of the most important aspect of your business. Because if the agency, they're always going to try to keep taking your money, right? And even if you're not getting return on ad spend, they're going to come up with some reason of like, oh, well, we need to do this. We need more data, right? I've heard that a million times, right? It's bullshit. Within 72 hours, typically if your ads are trending positively, right? I recently did an audit with WodPrep and Iron American. Both of those companies paying somebody an exorbitant amount to run their paid traffic, right? The audiences that these people put in there were terrible, right? They took some pixel data for Iron American and they were targeting those quote unquote customers from 2020 to 2021. There's only 1,000 people in that audience list, and they were yanking his chain for 3 months. We need more data. Well, you're not getting you don't need more data because it's just 1,000 people. It's a very small audience, right? You're going to have really high CPMs because you're going after 1,000 people, right? And inversely, WodPrep, they had somebody going in, they have a lot of great SEO traffic. They get sales from that. And the person, said they set up the integration, everything correctly, right? But he just wasn't quite sure. And we went in and we did a fail-safe test and essentially proved that Meta was reporting sales that wasn't coming from actually paid traffic. So he was wasting money. And so again, for both of these guys doing multiple millions of dollars in their business, having somebody run their paid traffic, they didn't know what was going on and they just kept letting their chain get yanked further and further. Right. So we need the key metrics, kind of to recap, right? We need good CPM rates, good high click-through rates. That's a great success. Lead cost is actually not that critical, though it's not completely irrelevant. But that thing is, lead costs are primarily driven by CPM and click-through rate, right? What's the cost of impressions, right? And then what's my click-through rate of those impressions typically leads to the lead cost. And there's some other things that go in there, whether you kind of like, they click in and then you kind of weed them out a little bit more, you'll have higher ad costs. But if you're just starting out, all I'm trying to say is lead costs, don't get too hung up on that. When you're starting out, focus on these. And then eventually, once you start producing sales, we want to go into what's the customer acquisition cost, right? And so we really want to see acquisition be no more than around like 15 to 20% of our sales, right? So if you have about 25% going to your coaches, you have another 15% going to your sales team. Right now you're looking at what's 25, 15. So that's 40, right? And then another 15 to 20%, right? We're looking at 60% cost for fulfillment from coaches and sales team acquiring the customer and your ads, right? So there's 60%, and then you're going to have some software, whatever else expenses that you have. So we need to be looking at like, okay, what's my cost per acquisition, right? Can I keep it around 15, 20% of whatever my product is, right? And then especially for high ticket, and then can we increase the lifetime value and get referrals, right? If we can do those two things, then our ROAS dramatically increases. Like we did a huge push for referrals in this past year, and now we're getting around 2 referral calls. We used to get like 2 or 3 referrals a year. Now we're getting 2 or 3 referral sales calls a week. And it's because we made our offer so juicy, right? That people, to refer their friend, that people became so much more enthusiastic, right? Like we used to do like a $200, $300 kickback. Just nowadays with inflation, like the $100 is the new $1, right? And so those are simple levers that we can pull on the back end fulfillment and really ramp it up in the sense of return on ad spend. So now, finally, right, if you've stayed on this long or you're fast forwarding, let's get into what the hybrid funnel looks like. And then bonus, when you download the hybrid outbound the new way, basically when you download, all right, so let's finally get into what the hybrid funnel actually looks like. So if you've been watching this long, awesome. And just FYI, if you download this document, you will basically also get our profitability calculator if you haven't picked that up. So it's going to show you, what are the margins that I want to have for all my financial aspects, basically from costs per acquisition to fulfillment costs, right? How can I keep my business, having anywhere from like 25 to 40% profit margin at the bare minimum with paid traffic, right? The more that we can increase that profit margin and know exactly what are the parameters we want to put in place, the more predictability we can bake into our business. So you can download this Word document and I'll put this in there as well, and it'll have the profitability calculator at the bottom of this Word document. So this is what the hybrid funnel looks like, right? Big web, right? And we're going to start at the top, right? Like I said, foundation. We have to find our ideal avatar, right? If you cast a really wide net, you're not going to attract anyone, right? Basically, I guess I should go to present. There we go. Sweet. The riches are in the niches, right? For paid traffic. And, you've probably heard that a lot, but it's true, right? The best lesson I learned is what I call the magazine stand effect. We see what pertains to us. So, when our kids go up to the magazine stand, they see the Nickelodeon, or the teenagers see the People magazine, right? I go up and I see history and fitness and business, right? My wife sees, fitness and home goods, whatever, right? We all see what pertains to us. And so it's the same thing with paid traffic. Think of paid traffic as one big magazine stand. And so who are the people you can attract though? So if you're thinking about how can I find my niche, right? It's always with people who had the same struggle that you used to struggle with, right? That's easy. But also people who are in similar groups as you. So one for us is like former CrossFitters, right? If you're into skiing or endurance races, baseball, whatever it is, right? An example of what not to do though is don't be the performance coach with no specificity, right? I'm just like the performance guru, right? Triathletes are going to go with triathletes, right? Jiu-jitsu athletes want to be coached by people who have an understanding of jiu-jitsu or training other high-level jiu-jitsu people, right? The best example I have of this is my buddy's company called Fit Responder, right? It looks exactly and sounds exactly like what it is. And he looks exactly like who they want to be fitness-wise. He used to be a state trooper. He's got the mustache. He's super fit, right? And so when we do that, and people can see that in the ad, this is what it does. So if I drill home any important point, right, it is that it decreases the friction or resistance that people have to coming to a quick conclusion that they could potentially want to work with us. Meaning like I can look at him, I see him, right? He looks like me, sounds like me. I think there's a high propensity that I might actually like to work with him, right? And so that's the importance with niches. So for my wife, right, she's a former high-level gymnast. She used to do CrossFit, right? She used to come from this place of like thinking she always has to eat less and burn more. She's a mom, right? So we can hit all of these things, right? Inside of who does she belong to, right? And so first and foremost is we're going to start driving traffic followers to our IG page or our Facebook group, depending on where our avatar is, right? So if you're just starting out, we want to drive them to the IG or the Facebook page group, because what does this do? It allows the chance of the algorithm potentially feeding our content back to them, right? So we get more capacity to warm them up versus going straight to a cold ad, right? Where they don't know us. They click into the ad. If they don't buy right then or they don't opt in, they don't see us again. They don't know who we are. We don't stay on top of mind. So this allows us to the first phase of creating that name, face, offer association. And then I'm going to show you how to start driving sales from that. But once we do start driving sales, we recognize we're getting our ideal avatar in this, following sequence, which is going to give us very low cost per impressions and very high click-through rates, right? Because Facebook loves when you run ads that keep people on platforms. That's a little cheat code. Basically, if you do this, right, then we can take those followers, if you're just starting out with paid traffic, you don't have a lot of customers that we can do a lookalike audience. We can take our Instagram followers and we can do a lookalike audience of that, right? And then as we start to get clients later on, I'll show you when we want to use that client lookalike. So, so you see here, right? This is essentially what we've done with our Instagram page and our Facebook group, right? Both, we've driven up to around 20K people, right? We don't drive as much traffic to these anymore because we have such a warm audience now. We use lead forms, and I'll show you all of that. And we use a lot of paid traffic to warm people up with specific content. But we essentially, for you, what you're going to do is start with 2 follower ads. And I'll show you what those look like here in a second. But basically, a follower ad just calls out exactly who you want, right? Effortless Wellness for the Purpose-Driven Women. We do it on platform, so it looks native. It doesn't look like an ad. Just basically say, hey, are you a purpose-driven woman who, has tried a bunch of things, researched a bunch of stuff with your nutrition fitness, but you're always sitting there spinning your wheels, right? Maybe you're somebody who has a little extra means for coaching. If that's you, then give my page a follow where I create free content on what I call the Effortless Wellness Method. It shows women how to go through these 3 phases, right? Blah, blah, blah. Another one that we use, right? Why waiting until January to focus on your fitness guarantees? You'll spend all of 2024 catching up and how starting now stops the sabotage, right? All of those ads, right, are just putting towards our followers, right? And then now what we do when we have those followers is we get to outreach to these people, right? So this is that hybrid outreach piece. What I don't want you to do, like a lot of coaches are going to have you do, is I want you to go and search hashtags and then reach out to anyone who looks like they need fitness, right? Quick scroll. If they look overweight, message them, right? What I'm doing, whether you're, again, this works for you if you're in person, right? Hey, are you somebody in the local area? Are you a mom in a local area struggling with XYZ, right? I used to be like this too. Give our page a follow where it shows not only like how we do things at our gym, but it's going to give you free value, whatever it is, right? So what this does, it's going to be very cheap leads. You can give followers, I gave WODPrep a follower ad and he's getting followers for 25 cents a follower, right? He messaged every single one of those. And he actually just messaged me with a sale from doing what I was telling him to do with this hybrid outreach, right? And so instead of, right, trying to go find people who might not be anywhere near becoming problem solution aware and definitely don't want to be product aware, right? These people at least recognize they have a problem. I present a little bit of a solution. I'm going to give you some value on that. So I know these people are much more warm. They're exactly who I want, right? Or they wouldn't click in. And so we start building up those followers. We start doing hybrid outbound. We start creating sales, right? So you'll see here, right? We track how many followers we're getting. This is 1 month, right? And so outreach. Hey, Mary, I hope you're having a great weekend. I'd love to get to know you. Anything you currently want to cultivate with your health and fitness, right? So same thing with the in-person gym, or if you're starting to run paid traffic, right? All this outreach is the same thing. So you're just saying, hey, Meta, go and find me these people instead of me sitting there and scrolling. I pay very cheap costs. And you know what? Long term, I'm also building up an audience. So you can go and do the old way of cold outreach, right? But the problem is you're not building up an audience unless you sell a bunch and you really do cold outreach for a long time, which I freaking hate. I hate dropping into somebody's profile who at least didn't have like some desire to hear from me, right? So multiple follow-ups, and then we eventually booked her on a call and then booked her to a sale. But then the nice part about the follower ads, right, is so here's our pin post, right? You'll see 879 comments. That sends them an automatic message with some value piece, right, that we get to message. And then also in here, right, this is a comment on a different post. So it's not even just this one, but this is what you see here, a case study. So, hey, thanks for commenting on this. Here's a case study. We ended up booking her, right? And she became one of our clients. So when we drive them to the followers, not only can we outreach to them, but we also have that, again, like I said, that content pumping back into them. We have our story highlights. That's also going to be a potential for them to book from there, right? And then the nice part is then we can go and take all of anyone who's engaged with our profile, followed us, right? We can retarget them. And then put the exact warming up content in front of them that we want, right? And so you'll see here's a uplift recall ad video that it's basically saying like, Meta, go and find me people who you think will remember us, right? And then I put a simple value-based, I'm sure my wife will love the screenshot I took there, simple value-based post, right? That has really no call to action, very subtle, very much at the end, reading through the copy, not a huge like, hey, book a call, whatever it is. And then I also hit them with testimonials, right? Up 800 calories from when, blah, blah, blah. So women see that like, whoa, up 800 calories, right? So they're getting to see all of this social proof ads from us. So with that, once we start to expand, right, we can retarget them with value, DMs, and then a lead form. Hold on, and I'm going to pause this real quick. Or so continue on, right? We send them, we retarget them with value, DM ads, right? Like, hey, you this person potentially thinking about this, you've been seeing our stuff, shoot me a message, or lead form. What I'm really bullish on right now is lead forms because, right, for us, like when you're starting out, it's great to get a bunch of leads, but eventually, like you're paying for a lot of leads and it just gets very hard for your team to manage. You have to spend more time and pay people more time to manage all the leads coming in. So what we can do with the lead form is we can put in logic where it asks them like, hey, are you potentially looking to hire a coach? Yes, I may hire the right coach. No, I'm not looking for a coach, right? Cool. If they're not looking for that, then you don't even give us your information, right? Does it drive up my lead costs? For sure. But Do I pay less for my setters and we produce more sales because people, we know they're at least somewhat solution searching? Yeah, right. And so I'd rather spend more, have less time and energy sacrifice on my employees' part, right? And get to more sales more efficiently, right? And again, increases my profit margin when I don't have to have people spending so many hours setting, right? So sales, right? We now, for this follower funnel, we produce sales, right? That's obviously the goal, right? You get them in, follow, you have your page, warming them up, you're forcing retargeting with warming up content, DM ads, or lead forms, right? And then that produces sales. Awesome. We're happy. We're making money, right? But now we take those followers, right, from that hybrid outbound, and now we go and create a lookalike of our followers. And then once we have that, right, so you'll see here a lookalike, right? So you take, one that's worked really well for us is a 3% lookalike of our followers in the past 365 days. So I know everyone in that ad, right? I'm helping Meta out. I'm not having it have to go and look at emails, right? It gets to see all that information. It's like, yo, these are all the people that followed us. I called them all out. These are, we're making money off them. We know it's profitable. Go and follow, go and find me more of those, right? It has much more data because, again, it's an on-platform audience that it likes, right? It can get more data since everyone's opting out and since Apple makes it tougher for things to track. So we create a lookalike audience of that. Now we go and create inbound, right? So I told you hybrid outbound and inbound revenue models. We don't want to just be reliant on the outbound because that has a bottleneck in the sense that Meta only allows you to send out a certain amount of outbound messages per day before it marks you as spam. But inbound, it'll let you have unlimited, right? So inbound, we can go DM, right? DM if you do it in an engagement campaign or a lead campaign. Engagement is going to get you a lot more leads for a lot cheaper. Lead campaign might get you slightly better leads. I haven't necessarily seen that to be the case, but you're going to typically incur higher costs with the lead campaign. But anyways, that's where we can kind of just replicate what we've been doing. We start to scale up, right? And then once we feel confident in our messaging, right, then we add in the lead form, which I'm super bullish on because we're essentially self-booking calls right now for an initial 15-minute clarity call for around $100 to $200 a call, which is great without anyone needing to get in there and set. But, right, you can go either way. And the reason why I like the lead form is I have the chance for the self-booking because they go through the lead form, they pick up the thing, I get their name, phone, email, send them to my coaching page. People are booking straight from that. And then I also have the setters going on the back end, shooting them a text, right? Then they're getting the email campaign. We book a bunch from our email campaign as well versus the DM. You really only get the DMs. You only get about 7 days to message them. If they don't respond back, right, that lead's essentially gone for forever, right? So here's like our coaching page just to show you. Again, I'm trying to show you exactly of everything in the funnel, right? Here's the lead form. They opt in for this. It sends them to this page. Down, they'll see more about our program, so on and so forth. They can request a demo, right? And so here's some of our metrics, right? So this is old DM campaign, right? You'll see that I've spent over 116K on DMs. All of these are DM campaigns, right? So I've done both, right? And now I'm spending most on lead forms, right? Lead forms and the followers, right? And so with that though, even with the lead forms, people who opt in, right, get the stuff, we have their information, and let's say they don't follow us, I hammer them with follower ads. I hammer them with retargeting value ads, right? I hammer them with some DM ads, right? I can hit all of those people who are clicking on that lead form, and I'm creating that omnipresent noise to, again, get to what? More sales. We sold somebody 2 days ago. It's like, I've been coming back to your program now since March. It just keeps staying in my mind. I keep seeing your face, right? It's freaking December, right? So we use omnipresent noise to keep more of our leads in our little micro atmosphere, community atmosphere, where they're seeing us, we're creating the noise, we're staying top of mind, right? So then when we can go a little bit further and we can create a customer lookalike audience and a paid in full lookalike audience, right? So if we want to get to a spot where we have more of the financially qualified people coming in, right? First, maybe we produce 200-300 sales, and then we start with a customer lookalike audience. So now it's branching out from our Instagram lookalike audience. And then after we've had, 1,000 customers, now we have, 400 or 300 paid in full. We take those paid in fulls and we make a lookalike audience. So you'll see here, right? Here's my lookalike audience, 3%, 365 of followers. Here's my PIF, right? 3%, plus a 25% zip code, right? Targeting the top 25%. And you'll see there's only 25% overlap, right? So it's like these people, I'm willing to bet, are even more financially qualified than the Instagram lookalikes, right? If they were pretty much the same and as qualified, those people would be over here, right? They'd be inside that circle, right? And so that's how we can kind of go and see which lookalike audience has some potential, right? When you have like a 50, 70% overlap, it's best to just not even play with it. But a 25% overlap, cool. I'm going to exclude within this, I'm going to run this, I'm going to exclude my lookalike audience of followers, and I'm going to take those other 75% people that aren't in there, right? I'm going to target them, right? Or I could flip the exclusion the other way, right? And so eventually, though, where we eventually want to get to is broad targeting, right? Broad targeting is where you have the highest capacity to scale, but that's when we need to have API or CRM events. We need to optimize for conversions, right? And allow the algorithm to go and find more people who are converting, right? So it's showing like if you do a lead, so if you've ran ads before, you start off with a lead, a campaign objective of leads, right? And you're getting leads, right? Meta's just looking for people who you want leads. I'm going to get you more leads. I'm going to get you people who fill that out, right? It doesn't care if the leads are quality. It's just saying like, hey, you wanted leads, I'm getting you leads, right? Versus when you start to run for conversions, right? Cool. Now I'm going and I'm looking for people who convert. And so in lead forms, right, you can now in lead forms, you can now optimize for conversions through your CRM. So anytime I move somebody in pipeline, the pipeline triggers a conversion, sends the data back to them, and they're like, okay, this person was a conversion. I'll go and find more people of that, right? And so you'll see here, this is in one of our lead forms, right? Broad, we do have the lookalike. We're testing both against each other as we're building up more and more conversion events. This is kind of a new feature, but right, I'm tracking CRM events right there, letting it know that the CRM events are in our ads manager. And so that is essentially the entire hybrid inbound, outbound funnel. So again, the new way, right? Instead of doing cold outreach, we're getting people to follow us, right? We're buying back our time and energy by getting followers who have a specific problem, people who probably resonate with us because of the way we look, the way we talk. That's just a reality, right? But the great part about that is not only are we buying back time instead of going in and searching hashtag and cold outreach, right? We're starting to build a list of our ideal avatar to tell Meta, hey, go and find me more people of that. Then inbound lead forms versus DMs, right? You know, I know a lot of you have done DMs, right? And, you know, maybe you're feeling like DMs don't work as well. Lead forms didn't used to work as well 2-3 years ago because they didn't have logic built into the lead form where you could weed people out, right? So, you know, I can go broader ad set and just put more of the qualification inside of the lead form. So then Meta's going and looking like, okay, well, you put in 2 or 3 questions like the coaching one that I showed you, right? These people had answered it. I'm going to go find more of those versus the freebies who are like, well, I don't want coaching at all. It's going to stop. It's going to try to not bring in as many of those, right? And so that is the kind of the big strategy, right? The big strategy is to minimize time and energy spent on people, minimize time and energy spent on people actively searching for solutions, right? Use lead forms to nurture those who need to become more problem and solution aware, and then combine outbound and inbound strategies for a balanced, effective funnel, right? And so, meaning, right, we want to minimize the time and energy spent. I think I worded this incorrectly. Time and energy spent. And then we want to get into inbound, right? So we have the outbound, the hybrid, outbound, the new way, right? Then we want to get to inbound, right? Every business it's the same thing. People are going to name different funnels on YouTube. You're going to see different things, right? The IG, blah, 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 the this and that, right? All it is every business has outbound leads and inbound leads, right? And so we want to start with outbound because that's going to get us to a spot where inbound's a little bit more efficient. We know what we're doing. We have a proven offer. We know that we can take people from our page, produce a sale, right? We're going to get lower CPMs, lower costs for those followers, right? Which is all great to help you get started on paid traffic. And then lead forms versus DMs, right? I'm bullish on lead forms right now because I capture more data, right? Phone, emails, phone numbers, emails, names, allows the prospect to self-book, right? It's currently generating $80 to $150 booked calls per week, right? Meaning people are booking on their own without a setter, right? Less time and energy and less cost for my employees. 95% of our calls have been self-booking from that, which is great. And that's a cold front-end lead. And then what I also think, if you're somebody who's been running paid traffic for a while in the fitness space, right? DMs are just becoming white noise, just kind of like email, right? I was talking to my dad the other day and he was like, man, there's LinkedIn DMs. Like, I just don't even look at them anymore, right? Everyone has had some experience of getting DM'd now, right? And so we're living in an age where people want more instant solutions. That's why Amazon works, right? It gives people the one-click offer solution. People want things faster, right? A prospect, think of it, right? You start DMing a prospect, right? Life interrupts, crying kid, they forget about you, right? The people typically now know what they want, or at least a little bit more clear. And I want to go after those people who are a little bit more clear. And so with lead forms, right? People want to go and like, oh, that sounds interesting. Let me see your thing. Cool. I'll book and learn more, right? People are more competent now. More people are more used to online, right? DM ads are still effective, right? But less reliable as a sole strategy anymore is what I've seen, right? So this, kind of, again, summary: cold outreach to people who don't know you is outdated. Hybrid outbound leverages ads to find the right prospects. We use them for lookalike audience. Inbound lead forms deliver instant gratification and keep you top of mind. Instant gratification for the prospect, right? And then use multiple touch points to maximize engagement and conversion potential, right? So multiple touch points, meaning we get to see them, or we want them to see us more and more all over the place, right? All right, so key takeaways for you marketing your fitness business nationwide or local, right? So you're thinking about it, how with hybrid, outbound, inbound, how does it all kind of flow, right? So build your micro social network of ideal clients. So we start with the followers, very cheap cost per impressions, cheap clicks, right? Cheap messaging, ideal avatar starts following us. We start producing sales with that, with the outbound, right? Ideal avatar consuming our warming up content. So we get them later on. They're getting our stories, so on and so forth, right? We're catching more fish in that. We're catching more fish in the net, right? Ideal avatar starts engaging with your long form content, right? You're sending them stuff in your DMs. It's to maybe your YouTube channel, and then you retarget them on YouTube. Say they see you there. Retargeting ideal avatars with direct offers. So I'm hitting them with the lead form that they started following us, right? Ideal avatars. We take that ideal avatar list of followers and we start making more and improved audiences for Meta to go and find more of those, right? And then we start doing the customer lookalike, so on and so forth, right? But the main important thing is stop spraying and praying your content, right? Focus on creating targeted content that highlights the mechanism of your method, right? Show common problems and your solutions. So bringing it back to how I don't want to be on the constant content grind of always trying to, what's the new catchy thing I'm going to talk about, right? It's very simple, right? I would just show common problems and solutions that our ideal avatars are having, what we hear on sales calls, right? Over and over. Method. Hey, we do this in phase 1, so then it unlocks this in phase 2, so then we can get to phase 3 and solve the problem that you've never had. Over and over. More people are getting fed into the cogwheel and they're hearing the same message. We do before and afters plus testimonials, right? A little day in the life. So they start to kind of know and like you. Hero's journey. What did you struggle with? How did you overcome it? And then offer posts, right? Over and over. Just hit it over and over. It doesn't matter. We don't have to be the media company doing the podcast. What's the new thing that we're going to talk about? So remember, followers only matter if they're engaging with our content. So if you get organic followers and they don't engage with your content, right? Meta doesn't populate you in their feed. So that's why we do the retargeting. We use paid traffic. So we force them to see these things and warm up to us, right? So again, think of it this way. You pass a billboard once, it's very forgettable, right? But seeing the same billboard over and over everywhere you look, right, starts to build that recognition. Haley, my wife, said that Frank Azar, some lawyer for traffic injuries or whatever, has been having the same billboards everywhere. And she knows Frank Azar everywhere. Name, face, offer, association. You laugh, but it's like, man, well, I've seen Frank Azar everywhere. And so this is, right, little funny gif, right? We need an ad blitz of monumental proportions. Everywhere you look, you should see the same name. And that's what we want to create with the hybrid inbound, outbound funnel. And so now I'm formally inviting you to book a free call with me to explore how we can implement the hybrid training funnel into your business. This isn't a generic follow along course like you probably have had, right? With group coaching calls. Instead, this is a built with you revenue model, because I'm so fed up with agencies. It's either done for you or it's so information based. The coaches in the program don't care about you, or they don't even have a fitness business anymore where they run paid traffic, right? Or it's an agency where it's paid, done for you. And the amount of times that I've seen agencies go in and just bastardize people's ad accounts is insane, right? And so this is a built with you revenue model that includes proprietary lead and sales acquisition systems tailored to your business. And because gone are the days of one size fits all models, right? Everyone running the same ads, doing the same thing just doesn't work like it used to in 2020, where I was like, go and DM everyone, make a, post about being shirtless and your food, and that's it, right? So basically, together we will discuss how to create individualized strategic plans to build long-term assets that will work for you regardless of changes in the ad landscape. You'll gain complete ownership of your revenue model, right? Understanding the KPIs and the knowledge to properly offload these systems to a team member when the time is right. Instead of paying somebody to come in and be a miracle worker for your revenue model, know it better than anyone else. Hey, here's everything you have to do, and then you can pay them less than what you pay an ad agency that wants to charge you $4,800 a month, right? So what we'll cover, right, on this, the 4 central buckets for your business with the system components specific to the hybrid training funnel. So awareness, identify and refine your targeting, target audience, strategically position content to attract the dream clients, build an audience of engaged followers who can be hyper targeted over time, even if they don't buy right away. Leads, implement systems for acquiring leads at scale, automate lead nurturing to free up your time while maintaining a personal touch. Understand and optimize your cost per acquisition, right? Move from unstable one-legged stool model, I should say model, to a scalable and resilient lead system, meaning having a 2-3-legged stool system. So you're not, if one thing goes down, your IG DMs go down, well, you still have the lead forms going, right? Sales, develop outcome-based offers with strong front-end margins, right? So again, understanding your numbers. If you download this document, you get the profitability calculator, right? That's going to show you what are the numbers and confines or the constraints we have to bake into our paid traffic in our business to make it profitable and take off headaches from you, right? And then build a seamless sales system that converts leads into long-term clients. And lastly, fulfillment. And by fulfillment, not just like how are you training them, right? Create an efficient, scalable onboarding process, maximize your lifetime value and customer lifespan, and establish a referral system. I'm going to give you a referral system that consistently generates new clients and lowers your cost per acquisition. Basically, I acquire 2 for 1, right? This is a completely free call to help you pinpoint the exact levers to pull to unlock your next level of growth. Whether you're just starting out or already running ads, we'll identify bottlenecks and set a clear path for success. So if you're ready to take the guesswork out of scaling and create predictable revenue, book your free strategic planning call today. Download also this sheet in the link below. It'll give you the profitability calculator in there. And then check out the videos that are going to be a continuation on this, breaking down each thing piece by piece. You can check out one of the 2 videos above. Peace.